When that jacket came out, then inside of it was this plastic container of the sourdough starter. And I'm like, oh, no.
No, you haven't.
He's pawned it off on us. And Kay and I had that same conversation, like, what are we going to do with this thing?
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wild Dispatch. I'm Robin and I'm back with more skills and stories from the wild. We have a fantastic episode for you today, one which I've been touting for a while now. I've been excited to get this one out, definitely for a number of weeks. This one is the Proenneke pancake, sourdough pancake celebration episode. So, in a nutshell, a previous guest on the podcast, Monroe Robinson, and his partner, Kay Schubeck, kindly invited myself and my wife over to his place to enjoy genuine pancakes that were actually made from the sourdough of Dick Proenneke from his cabin. So it was kind of a historic moment to actually be able to celebrate Dick Proenneke's life, hear a bunch of stories about his time in Twin Lakes and the observations that Kay and Monroe made in the 19 summers, I believe they spent caretaking on the cabin. We have a bunch more great episodes just like this one. So if you could follow or subscribe, depending on where you're listening, that will mean that you are always up to date with every new episode that comes in. So give that a click and you will always be up to date. It is Halloween today that I'm recording this. So a big happy Halloween to everyone. And also, I should say, a big happy birthday to another guest on the podcast, William Arthur Sprague, who I won't reveal his age today, but he is a real good friend and an amazing guest. He has loads of amazing knowledge about mushrooms. So if you are curious about mushrooms, well, right now it's high time. The mushrooms are absolutely going bananas right now in Northern California. Then check out his episodes. He has a bunch of great stories, but also a bunch of really good wisdom about how to seek out the mycelium snacks in the forest. Actually, there's one more thing. If you could share this with a friend, then that would be fantastic. The more people who share this podcast with all like-minded individuals, then actually the more opportunities that arise for me to interview great guests like Kay and Monroe. And here they are now for the episode. The bacon is under here.
Oh, it's a good thing you didn't let me know. I would have been eating it all.
Who's next? Ladies first, I think.
Okay, you can go first.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. No, that's two. I only
You're a one egg
I'm a one
person.
egg.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bacon there.
Now,
Wow,
you have
that's amazing.
so many things to choose from.
Yeah,
It's
what's
really
all these
not
beautiful
fair.
options?
So this is applesauce made from our own apples.
Okay.
And these are all things made from ourselves too. This is the plum. This is the very, very best. And this is blueberry from Alaska. And this is blackberry, but it's more runny.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have your fruit that you
Plum,
could add to
blackberry, and this is blueberry from
Alaska blueberry, yes.
Okay.
And then there's butter too. You probably want some butter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The blackberry is blackberry lemon.
Blackberry lemon.
Okay, nice.
Has a really nice lemon flavor to it. Okay.
I'm gonna have to try a little bit of everything.
Yes, by all means. And the other thing I really love to do is I love to bake anything that would have chocolate in it. Anything, any fancy thing like that is. But as you get older, your metabolism slows down so much, you just gain weight that fast. I mean, I don't care how much exercise. I don't care.
I feel like we're both 40
we're hitting that
now,
point.
and I feel like we started to hit that point where we're like, oh wait, we can't just eat everything and just go for a run and it's fine anymore.
Exactly. It's and it continues downhill. I have to tell you so.
We're living like saints at the moment, like barely eating anything naughty at all.
Good.
It's like having
What?
far less impact on my waistline than I would like.
Yes, and then exactly that's what Monroe was saying to me the other day when I stepped on the scale and it was 130. I mean 120. I've never weighed 120 in my life. You know, I'm just this little person.
Okay, honey.
And I was 101 all through high school and so on.
I have one.
Thanks.
So now
Thank you.
it's, I mean, even this is going to be too much carb for me today. The carb just,
But it's a special treat.
it is. I know, but I say that every day.
It can't be a special
It
treat
can't
every
be,
day.
no, it can't be every day. Because then I'll balloon up.
Looks yum.
Oh, here. You
So
want
we
it
should-
next?
So we should set up. These pancakes are special. I'll probably set up in an intro or whatever I do, but these are historic pancakes.
They are historic. They totally are.
So Monroe already gave a bit of an intro in the last podcast that we recorded together. But I guess this is the sourdough starter. These are pancakes made from the sourdough starter of Dick Proenneke, who you both knew. Yeah, exciting stuff. Thank you for having us.
Oh, for sure.
over.
Fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited to try this. They smell. It's like they've got like wisdom. I'm gonna say the. But what was the first time that you met Dick Proenneke? Because I know that you two, and this is actually something I'd love to ask you about in a bit, if you don't mind telling the story. I think you guys actually met at Twin Lakes, right?
Yes.
But how do you remember meeting Dick Proenneke? the
Well,
first
I
time?
taught school over in the Dillingham area. Of course, you guys probably don't know where any of these places are. But,
No.
And I, at the time, was teaching in Hanneke, which is a small village, 200 people. And a friend of mine said, why don't you go out hiking, not hiking, but looking for plants with this botanist. They need to have somebody, he can't go by himself. It's through the national park system and the refuge, the different national refuges, you have to go with somebody else.
Okay.
And so I could shoot a gun, so that's what all they really needed, even though, of course, he was in the Army for years, so if ever there was a problem, he took the gun. But
This is Dick.
this is
Someone
Phil
else.
Haswell. He was a botanist who invited me to come with him.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, okay. And so we went, they flew me from Hanneke when school was over to Lake Clark National Park. And I don't remember if it was the first place we went, because I'd have to go back and look at my notes. We went to many, many places. But we finally went to the place where Dick lived, the Twin Lakes, Upper Twin Lakes to be more exact.
Okay.
And Phil was telling me, because he had already met Dick, that there was this old guy living across the lake. And at that time, of course, he was in his, what would that have been, Monroe? He would have been in his late 70s, early
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
So one day I saw this canoe coming across the lake. I saw where his cabin was because we were directly across the lake and we were climbing in those mountains there looking for plants.
Just pause you for 1 minute.
Yeah.
You gave
And
me
we're
2
gonna-
eggs?
by mistake. And we're going to give thanks to the food and to the
Cheers.
earth that provided the plates, and also to Dick Proenneke here.
Yes.
Yeah, Dick Proenneke.
He is with us today.
He is.
So I looked across the lake. I was cooking breakfast. We always had oatmeal. And I said, who is that? Isn't that a canoe coming over here, Dick? I mean, Phil. And he says, yeah, well, that's Dick Proenneke. I was told you about Dick Proenneke. He lives out here, and he's been living out here for 30 years, and kind of a cool guy. So he came over, and we talked with him, and then he says, come on over on the canoe. I'll take you over and give you some tea. Or come on over for some tea, I think is how he put it. And so we went over there, and then we spent the day with him, going up to Teetering Rock and doing all the things that I had no idea in the world, you have to believe me, that I ever would be the one who would be then giving the tours.
Oh.
Going up to Teetering Rock, just like Dick had done to me that day. I mean, I just never, it was way too wonderful thought to think that I could ever fall into that wonderful kind of a position,
Yeah.
which is, I did eventually. But anyway, so on the way back, the part that I remember so well on the way, he canoed us back late in the day, and then on his way back over, wind had picked up. And so I thought to myself, how is this old guy? No, I laugh about it.
Headwind.
How is this old guy going to get himself across the sled? Because there were whitecaps. I was really worried about him, honestly worried about him. And so I sat and watched, thinking, I don't know, what could we do? We don't have a boat. I don't know what we could do. And he obviously was a veteran. He let the wind take him.
Well, he said he kneeled down in the middle, so his center of gravity was lower.
That was the first important thing that I saw, because I'm a canoeist as well, and some people sit on the seats like this, and then at a real canoeist, you go down on your knees, Anyway, he had these little pads he had for his knees. They're little rubber pads that he had, and then he just kept himself going and then inching over as much as he could as the wind took him, and so he landed way down the lake.
Okay.
But it was never in any. I was never, once I saw what he was doing, not only did I learn from it,
Yes.
but I saw, this guy's pretty cool. I'll have to learn more about him. He had wowed me even over there, but he was very quiet spoken. He was hard to understand. He didn't move his mouth much.
Go ahead.
There you go.
Now, do you know all the different kinds here we have?
Yeah,
Such
go through.
trees?
Go through.
Okay.
What are the kinds of jam?
But this is the blackberry that has the lemon in it, and this is the Alaskan blueberry, and then this is the plum from our property, and then of course this is applesauce from the property.
Okay, wow.
We didn't do the cider. We had to buy not the cider, but the syrup. We had
syrup.
to buy that. And so that was the first beginnings for me to really understand. Anyway, so Dick got out of his canoe. He walked down, slept. The next morning he got up, was calm, and he takes the canoe down.
So he just hiked from where he could get across.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he just ties it up well.
He just tied it up well and went about his business like. I'm sure. How many times had he done that?
Oh, yeah.
Very smart.
Very smart. Very smart. And those are the people you want to hang around with when you're in the wilderness. And being there 30 years and, getting how you need to act to be smart.
And just being unflappable.
I lived over in the Dillingham area, in the Hanneke area. I had my own stone machine and, three-wheeler and all that stuff.
Thanks, Monroe.
But you still would see the village people doing things that I thought were pretty not very smart, and they weren't. But they usually were drunk when they did it, and that kind of thing. But I learned so much from watching the old people, how they went about doing it. And so that's how I met Dick. And then he came out the first year because he left the year after that. 99, I think. So I went back there in 99. Saw with Phil, the botanist, and saw Dick again, and we hung with him for a little bit. And then the next year, Dick was not there in the summer, and so they asked us if we would kind of watch the place for a couple of weeks. So that's where I got started, and I know that was probably the reason they asked me to then come and watch it. So the next year, which would have been 2000. When there was no way that Dick was going to come back. He just absolutely was not going to do it. And
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Although obviously, don't you need to eat some pancakes.
Yes.
I've got you just talking. But I guess what I was going to say is, you said we that first time looking after the cabin. Who was the we?
Okay, so the first year I came out there, I assumed that I would be by myself because that's what I was told. I would be there by myself. Okay. And I think they had it intended on me staying, or at least there was discussion of me staying in Dick's cabin because the other cabins were in not very good condition and so on. And so I went out that year. It would have been 2000 after school was over. They flew me all the way over from Hanneke, which is an hour-and-a-half flight, because they wanted a teacher. They wanted somebody who could give
One, please. Oh, yeah, just pop it in.
who could give
Thank you.
tours.
How many are you gonna have? Sorry to interrupt.
5, 6.
Okay, I'll have one more. Thank you.
Now you see, we have to break in here because Monroe would make these sourdough pancakes when
They're so good.
They're
Thank you.
delicious.
people would come to visit up there at Twin Lakes.
Yeah.
And particularly when it was groups of kids, that they would be hiking from point A to point B. If you remember being 17 and growing like a weed, which I'm sure is what you did,
Oh, yeah.
that Monroe would invite, they would camp in an area near Dick's cabin and on their hike. Cause they would be usually hiking from Tulaquina all the way over to Lake Clark. So it was a 40, how many miles? 40-mile hike, 50-mile hike? And so Monroe would invite them down for sourdoughs the morning that they were there. And you could just see these kids who were emaciated because, they've been hiking and carrying these heavy packs and going through rivers and lakes and such. And came down, and so Monroe just kept making them and piling them up and making them and piling them. I forget who got the record, Monroe. Was that big guy? I don't know how many pancakes he ate. So we're used to people eating lots of pancakes.
Feeding people.
It's good that you didn't remember the record because my competitive nature might have to kick in at that point.
I don't remember what it was. They were appreciably younger than you too, so I don't know what difference that made.
Well, and now, as we said, I'm aware more of the consequences of eating lots of pancakes these days.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thanks for that intro. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we should tuck in. I'm sure Moreau's going to be finished with his pancakes soon. These are really good. They're really, I love how they taste. They're not overly sweet. They have a really bassy, natural flavor.
Yes, they are. We had a friend who became our friend, who then wanted to get to know about Dick Proenneke, and so one of her things to raise money for herself, she figured out what his recipe was and then put it on the end of a spoon.
You should have some.
And then would sell that so people could use dry it, and then it was sold in the stores in Anchorage on Dick Proenneke's sourdough.
Oh,
So the spoon has the starter on it. That's genius.
What a cute idea.
That's a great idea.
Cute idea. Oh, Monroe.
That's an extra pancake arrived on your plate there.
Yeah, he might end up with it.
That's a great idea.
Well, when I was 19 years old and went to Alaska for the first time, this old man invited the 4 of us that were counting salmon on the Kvichak River over for sourdoughs and slab bacon and eggs, and I ate 12.
You ate 12. Wow.
But they weren't these big ones like this.
They were nice pancakes.
No.
Consider the gauntlet thrown.
I couldn't believe it. He's so good.
These jams are so delicious.
He hasn't made the ones from this year yet. So we have everything frozen, ready to go. But it will be probably in November before he gets to it. And then he just goes out there for days and he makes jams. I should show you the picture I have of him with all his jams.
Just making jam.
And my sister sent a text back and said, well, you guys are never going to starve out there.
I love how well you guys have got your system streamlined. It's like you've got it all, it's very clear whenever, even going over to the apple, juicing, things that you do. Yeah, you've figured it out.
Yeah. I guess it's better to do the making of the jam once the weather starts going, right? And you don't have so much garden work and other things to do.
Is the garden
I'll
work?
make the jam as soon as our friend Doug leaves here the 1st of November. He'll be working here for 6 weeks,
Okay.
and when he leaves, then I'll make jam for a week.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I don't want another one.
Well, here, give it to him because I can't. There's
Butter,
no way
sweetie.
you made me have 2 eggs. Good grief. You want the applesauce?
And the blueberry jam is from the last season that we spent at Twin Lakes in 2018.
Wow. That's special jam.
Yeah, it's getting more and more special. It's a few bottles. I think we have
Yeah, well, thank you for
5 little bottles or something left. And
Yeah, thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, that's amazing.
well, it's totally. I wouldn't have done this without it. It's part of.
Part of the tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blueberry.
When we took Dick Proenneke's ashes in 2003, when he passed away, we took his ashes, Kay and I, and a couple that were friends of ours, and then 3 rangers took his ashes up to a mountain that he called my mountain, which now we call Proenneke Peak, and it's 3,500 feet up and, 5 miles in?
I have to be at least 5.
So it was a good hike for us, for Kay and I especially.
That's a decent grind, yeah, for anyone.
And coming back, we picked blueberries, and then I already had Dick Proenneke's starter fired up and made sourdough pancakes with blueberries on them.
Yeah, mixed in there. So
As a
little tiny blueberries. They're so sweet and
I think you also, I had to flick through your book before coming and having this chat because I wanted to, you know me, always like to do a little bit of research before. But didn't you say that there was dull sheep on the mountaintop when you went up there?
It was so special. We hadn't seen anything for the first 2.5 miles in. And
there's a
the-
little bit of fog coming in the high mountains, so you couldn't really see spark clear.
Yeah.
But
the head ranger was probably the least, the next to Kay and me was the least fit of the group. And so we were in the back of the pack, and he had stopped once, or the 3 of us had, and he says, have you noticed there's just not any wildlife out today? It was very unusual. You see black bear and brown bear and sometimes caribou, sometimes moose and sheep and ground squirrels and marmots and pika, and we hadn't seen anything. And yeah, we noticed that, and it wasn't very long before that, after that, that somebody looked up and here's this small band of, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 dull sheep standing right on the top of Proenneke Peak, right on the top of it. And it was pretty random spot. It wasn't the high, the Proenneke Peak is on a long ridge, and it's not even the high spot on the ridge. So it's not like they got to the highest spot.
Yeah.
And so then as we approached, they moved off the other side into another drainage, and but not very far. So they were like 150 yards away or something, just standing by, grazing. And as we buried Dick's ashes, and each of us said a little thing, and it was
growing
so
in
touching.
time, just so you know.
And then when we were back at our cabin 3.5 miles away and doing pancakes, I put the telescope up on Proenneke Peak, and there they were, standing on the top of that same peak from up there. And I think that was the first time I had ever seen dull sheep standing on the top of Proenneke Peak. It's not a super common place for them, so yeah, they were saying their farewells too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. Really, really blessed to have had to be a part of that
Yeah, and
trip. And
we make something of it, whether it's there or not.
Yeah.
but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's meaningful to the people that see it. And although there's so many things that happen in life, aren't there, that just it gets harder and harder to explain why things happen the way they do sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so nice of having old friends or long-term relationships and things. It's impossible to explain. I mean, even Monroe and I didn't get together till we were 50. There at Twin Lakes. Before that, for me to see him in these different parts of his life and what he was doing and how he was feeling and what he would have been like, and I mean, even though you think you know, but it's really, really nice to have those long-term memories. It's really nice too that day that we went up there. Everybody wanted for sure to have Monroe make this, to use the sourdough, make the sourdough pancakes. And I mean, it was already in everybody's mind that that's exactly what you need to do, is you do that. And so on the way back down, we just kept stopping and picking the blueberries. And they were the kind where, because the blueberries, they are very small. They're not a high bush, they're low bush.
Oh, really?
And so you take your finger and just go like this, and then your hand is just full of these blueberries.
Oh, amazing.
Most of them going in my mouth. But
It's like one for you, one for the pot.
exactly, like Blueberries for Salad. Are you familiar with that book?
No.
Well, if you ever have children, I will send it to you. That's my favorite children's book.
Is it?
The mom and her little boy are, I assume it's a boy, although the picture could be either sex and or blended sex, and then there is a bear and a little cub, and so they're going picking berries, and the little boy loses track of mom and starts following the mother bear, and the little baby cub loses track of his mom and starts following the mother, and it's just and the kids, you couldn't read it enough times to them, particularly Eskimo kids, because they totally relate, they totally relate to all of that. Oh, it's darling. Anyway, so that's it. You just pick these just delicious blueberries, and then Dick we'd make little rakes. He'd make a little,
Yes.
rake for it.
I remember pictures of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he had a whole system, and he'd come back to make sure all the leaves were out. And
That's a tricky thing, right? Because I was doing some rough picking of huckleberries the other day. And then the processing afterwards is the thing that's definitely a big excitement in the moment, where I'm like clawing into a thing, but then
You have to
my
like
filtration
picture,
system.
yeah. I think
filtration
there's a
system's not
good way. I wonder if do they float? The berries and
the
would
leaves.
everything
The leaves
float?
might.
Yeah, I don't know what would be a.
I think
a good idea.
Dick
That's a
would
good
put it on
system.
an angle, and so some stuff would roll down
On a cloth.
on a
card.
cloth. So things would get stuck, but the berries would roll down.
Oh, that's
On a
that's-
ramp.
Yeah.
I see.
They didn't work very well for me. So I
wouldn't recommend.
I tried to pick them clean.
Yes.
That was my trick. Was just waste the time then.
Yes.
Then you don't have to waste the time when you get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's to save the time with good habits. My mushroom hunting friend has scorned me a number of times in his own nice way, where I'm taking a bunch of dirty mushrooms and putting them straight into the basket. And he's like, no, man, like clean them fully, make sure it's pristine when it goes in there, because otherwise you're pulling and it rolls around and everything else gets dirty in there. So having a system is something I'm slowly starting
Cut
to
away
do.
the bad parts
Yeah,
before you put it in there.
but I get too excited and don't want to lose any of the good stuff.
Robin's too, what's the right word?
Impatient.
Impatient, but also like too enthusiastic.
Optimistic.
Optimistic. Yeah. So I was like, oh, we can definitely eat this.
We
It's
can
like,
salvage almost all of this mushroom.
Oh, I see.
that's no, we can't eat those parts. And now you just made everything else dirty as well.
Again, not seeing the steps ahead, which is where my darling wife comes in hand. So I wanted to ask you, Kay, a little bit. You've said about how you met Dick, but I'd love to hear a bit more about how you got to Alaska in the first place and your story, because me and Monroe have chatted for many hours now. And obviously we've come and we've had dinner a number of times and we've become friends, but I haven't heard if you don't mind
Well, it just so happens I was one of the things that I'm trying to do is put together all of, when you get old, I'm 78, you collect a lot of stuff by 78, let me tell you. And I wrote journals and wrote journals. I always have written journals.
Amazing.
I'm so grateful to my friend Barb, who, gave me my first journal and said, this, you're doing a pretty exciting little thing here. You should write it down. You're not going to remember all of it, which of course is all perfectly true. No, I'm good. And so I was teaching school in Rockport, Massachusetts. I've had taught in Gloucester and then moved to high school in Rockport and then been there 15 years and thought, well, I'd like to get into a little bit more wild country.
Yeah.
My boyfriend at the time, we'd gone up to Newfoundland, and I thought that would be a really neat place to get a job. It was impossible for an American to get a job up there. So I shifted gears. I thought, well, where else could I go where you're in the United States, And, of course, Alaska. I'd always wanted to go to Alaska anyway, as a kid. But so I ended up here. That's a very convoluted story. Talked to different people, and they said, well, take a NOLS course, National Outdoor Leadership School. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They are really outstanding. If you know somebody who would like to, they're not sure if they want to do something that wild, that was a great school to go to. You go camping, they take you out camping, they teach you how to do everything, even though I felt I knew a lot of it. It was just really neat. And so I went out to Alaska, found out where you needed to contact people out there in order to get a teaching job, and everyone says, no, you're from Massachusetts, no one's going to want you. They're going to want people who are into the wilderness people.
Okay.
So after a few tears, I got back to Massachusetts, and I said very nicely, well, the word that starts with an F, you. And,
Use that word, it's fine.
because I want to do this. And you're not going to stop me from doing this just because I'm from Massachusetts. I mean, that was the most stupid reason I'd ever heard. So I called around out there and then got the placement office that they hire.
There you go.
And so that all the different school districts come in to this placement office in the summer and they hire all their teachers there. Well, I was teaching, so I couldn't go there until I was through teaching. Anyway, that's another long story. I finally got there, and I just didn't think anybody would want me, and it was so wonderful because 2 school districts fought over me. It was just wonderful for my science background. I thought everybody would be a scientist who would go out there. So I worked for Southwest Region Schools, which is the one right by Dillingham, and that's the area, as it turns out, where Monroe was. I mean, it's just too weird a story kind of a thing, But I was Dillingham, and he was down you were closer to Naknek. But the whole state, this was very close together.
Yeah.
So I got a job there in Manicodic teaching Eskimo kids, and I didn't have to know any Eskimo, any language. I didn't have to know any Yupik, which just worked for me because I'm not good with languages. And then taught there for 2 years, loved it. Taught over in Aleknagik for another 8 years, loved it. And then that's when I met this Phil Caswell, who was the botanist. And that was my connection. I loved teaching in Alaska. I love Eskimo people. They are the most outstanding. I've always admired them.
Yeah.
For being able to live in a place like that.
Just a difficult environment.
It's the difficulty of it. And I'll tell you, they are stubborn people.
Yeah.
And it can be good and bad, but usually it's good.
Yeah.
Particularly if you want to live there. And I loved my time. I just loved my time there. I wish now that I had stayed in contact with more of the people in that first village of Monokodak.
Did you learn any lessons while you were there, like from people who were
Yeah, I think probably the most that it was. Well, first of all, is you don't look at a person's house and say it's a shack, which is what people would define these houses looking like because they were, just thrown together places in this little village of 400, and having multiple family generations living there, and just everything. You walked into the house and there would be the grandmother sitting on the floor with a box, a box opened up, and then on it would be, I don't know, a porcupine or a whatever animal, and they're, taking it and making stew out of it. They're doing whatever they need to do to, I never knew how to do any of that, so it was very fascinating for me to see how everybody knows how to do that. Because all you have to do is just sit there and watch your grandmother do that from when you're a teeny little thing. Yeah. But I couldn't talk to them because they didn't speak English. So I could only talk to the kids that were, the younger, or some of the women were pretty good with English. And so I was able to do that. And anyway, I was well liked in the village, and people made wonderful things for me, earrings and such. And I hated to leave, but I wanted to go to another village where you could get on a road that would, such as it was, and we had to cross the lake first, but then you could get on a road, and if you could hitchhike or whatever, you would be able to get into the big town of Dillingham, 1,500 people or whatever.
Oh, 1,500 people, right?
And I thought I really I'd like to try that. And also they offered me an elementary position. I was only teaching high school, but I think the other story about Manicodic, because it's more remote than Aleknik, obviously, because they didn't have that connection to Dillingham, is that everyone still had dogs. There weren't a lot of dog sleds anymore, because everybody had what they called snow-goes.
Snow-go.
Mm-hmm. And
that's the snow buggies, is it?
The snowmobile.
Snowmobile, sorry.
Yeah. And so they had all these dogs in there tied up, and they fed them fish. I couldn't believe it.
Because it was right at the end. It was that transition from dog sleds to snow-goes.
Yeah.
So they hadn't gotten rid of their dogs yet.
Yes.
And they didn't want to. They loved their, animals. It was a weird change. Talking about times to be there watching this unfold was pretty hard for me to watch, because a lot of the dogs became kind of mangy, and they just didn't get taken care of. They needed. But there were still dogs. Some people still did have their dog teams, and they went out in them. But the one story that I remember was so important, because they saw that I was a skier, that village people did, and so I would go skiing off by myself, and they were always worried about me, because a whiteout, they call them whiteouts. I don't know if that's a familiar term to you. A whiteout would come out, and you would be out there, and there was no way you knew how to get back there. Yeah. And they would tell me that the beginning of the season, with the first storm that came, watch the way the grass was flattened. It was blowing out of the north, let's say. So the grass would be, the grass would be facing south. So if you were out skiing and you noticed where whiteout came, you would just look at your grass, and you would follow, however you went out, you would just follow it back, and then you would know how to get back into the village.
Oh, so like when you're surrounded by like zero visibility, you're reading what's on the ground right in front of you. So it's
just like like a compass.
Yeah.
Did you need that? Did you use that?
I actually never needed it. Yeah. I was just totally lucky.
But you did on your snow machine once.
I did on my snow machine once, yeah. But that was a whole nother story. But when I was in Manicodic, where I learned that, I never needed it. But they put in my mind the reason why I had such admiration for these people, because they knew these little...
Small but important.
Small but important to save your life. Yeah. That's all, just to save your life.
Yeah, a small detail, right? If you panic in the wrong moment and you start running around and go the wrong way.
Correct.
You just end up in more trouble.
Correct. And so my admiration for them grew hugely. It was just very hard to watch, because Native Americans still today have difficulty with alcohol. And there's a terrible alcohol problem there. But not with everybody, of course,
Yeah.
like with any society.
Yeah.
And everybody knew everybody's business, which is good and bad, right?
But it's, I guess, a more, at least in my mind, and this is speculation, but closer to how community would have functioned for the most of humankind, right? Very small groups, very connected, no, what's the word, anonymity, is that the word? Where like you're not anonymous, so you can't kind of take advantage of the group because everyone knows you, and you're going to be an outcast pretty quick if you do that, right?
Yeah, they know which one is good at what and who's
Right.
not good at other. Yeah, and the other thing I really learned out there is there isn't really a a chief. I don't know. There may have been in other Native American communities. I've never lived there, but in living with Eskimos, there's not that chief concept. You know, you're known for what you're good at doing. So if you want to know how to make a good basket, you go to the good basket maker.
Yes.
If you want to go hunting and find beaver, or whatever it is that you want to hunt for, you go with that person who's good at doing all of that.
Yeah.
And in the old days, before they became settled communities, so there could be schools and that kind of thing, and that wasn't long before I got there. You know, that's why this change was happening so quickly. The groups would get together maybe for some period of time and set up their igloos or whatever they used in that area. They didn't use igloos very often because there wasn't the right kind of snow as often as it was farther north. But people would disband and go in their family groups. But if you really wanted to be able to catch whatever animal they wanted to catch, then whoever was the best at doing them, people would just follow them.
Yes.
You see, they weren't in charge. They didn't tell you what to do. They had power only in their ability to find the animal
Yes.
or
Yes.
make the basket or whatever.
It's not about predetermined status or authority layers.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the power was very differently. You know, we think of today and how things can really get screwed up bad with the way people distribute power. But it didn't seem that way, so I admired that too. So.
You made me think of, I'm going to speak a minute so that you can eat some food. Because I'm conscious that we're spoiling your breakfast. It's so interesting to come back to what you were saying about reading the grass, and I do actually want to hear that story. I don't mind sharing it at some point, where you were in the snow go. But I've really noticed, as I've spent more years out in the boonies, nothing to the extreme that you have done, obviously, but that panic you feel when you are off track or you're in the wilderness and you don't know where you're going, and you're like, where did I come from? Where do I need to go? There are points where I've realized, like, I actually know the skills now where it's like, it's so obvious to me now. Like, how could I get lost? Because I'm leaving a trail everywhere I'm going. My own tracks are, it's more subtle if you go way off trail, but it's there, you know? And I think that that's a really interesting thing. I think we as humans lose quite quickly, right? We lose those skills, and then you have panic, and then you make some bad choices, and then that's it, you're in real trouble, particularly if you're in a place as cold as where you were. But yeah, it's quite nice to feel like I'm starting to learn a few tricks to get me out of trouble.
Well, you always have to make sure that if there is a problem, you have something to sleep in, or you have a way to keep warm, or you have all of these other. I mean, we would never go off. I never went off with a snow machine or with Monroe camping. With that, we hadn't thought that all through.
Yes, right. You've got to have that backup.
You have to have that.
Yeah, you've got to be able to make it through the night. Yeah, that's kind of something that I sort of tend to have in my mind as well. But I've got some very nice puppy trousers and or pants, I should say, here, a jacket, and I'm pretty proud. I just got those booties. I went off on a little trip. We're in California, so it's not that cold, okay? But I packed quite light. I didn't actually take a sleeping bag. I was like, I'm just going to use my puffy gear that I have. But my feet were really cold. And that's just a morale thing. But so I just ordered some little socks that are like puffy, insulated socks. They're very, very light. But oh my God.
I know what they are, yeah.
So luxurious. They're so nice. I can't wait to use those. So that's going to be part of my emergency kit, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we never go anywhere, even if it's just like a short hike. He always takes a backpack, snacks, obviously lots of water, warm stuff, even if it's a hot day.
He's smart.
Which can be annoying sometimes, but
Yeah.
It does probably worthy of the eye rolls that I get sometimes. But I think that's also my dad coming from the military. He was in the Navy, and I did a lot of, from a very young age, hiking up mountains. And I say mountains, I think here you would call them hills in England, but they were the tallest hills, or the tallest mountains in Great Britain when I was there. So I very much remember some of those lessons. A very distinct memory of my dad teaching me the important lesson at a very young age: you get wet, you die.
Yeah. Right. How did we used to say cotton kills? That was our... We tried to not put cotton on because once it got wet,
Yeah, you're in trouble.
you were in big trouble.
Yeah.
But if you could wear fur, or you could wear wool, or you could wear those other things that you could wear, and you get wet, and you would be okay. Your body heat would dry it in.
So we were here yesterday to give a little bit of context, and I noticed those amazing mittens that were on the wall there. Do you mind if I grab them for a
No,
second?
go ahead.
Monroe told me that they're beaver. Is that right? Did you eat beaver then while you were there? Was that like common?
In True Village, not Anchorage. No, Anchorage has half the population of Alaska. The saying there was, how does that go? It's so nice to live in Anchorage because you're so close to Alaska. You get it?
yeah.
And it's absolutely the truth.
That's fun.
I want to see a little.
But in the village, and now these are what I wore when I was on my snow machine, my snow goat,
Okay.
because you never got cold.
Your hands didn't get cold.
Because they're windproof.
Oh, yeah,
They're
okay.
warm too, but
I bet your hands get really cold.
Yeah, oh my.
Because it's just like
Yes.
exposed there.
no matter how many pairs of mittens or whatever else that you put on, this you have to have something. I mean, there are ones you can make, that you can buy today, the Army puts out and so on, and I guess they're okay, but
That's
they're never
the
gonna top these
original,
guys,
the
yeah.
original and best.
Yeah, I use these a lot.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Do you put another layer on underneath?
I usually did, just because this is what I just like the feeling on my hand.
Yeah.
So I have a mitten or probably usually wool, something wool.
Yeah.
So do you have two little puppets there?
I do.
A little beaver puppet?
Yeah, these are probably the ones. Oh no, I think my hat. Monroe, we didn't take on all of our fur. I saw some other fur up there. My seal hat was probably the other one I wore the most.
Oh, yeah.
Sealskin. It's just you can tie it on. It's tight and it's obviously you could go into that cold water, so the wind didn't bother you. And that was really it. It was the wind. It's the wind because it takes all. Dick had a little wind gauge right by his desk. That I know we have pictures and copies of that, but it doesn't take very much wind to lower your temperature dangerously.
Okay. Wind chill.
Wind chill. That is what it is, yeah.
What's interesting too to me is I'm just hate to see animals getting killed for foxes raised for fox coats and
Yes.
animals shot for trophies and stuff, but it gives you a whole different perspective when these people are living out, even today when there is high-tech stuff available, when you're living a subsistence life largely, that it just makes so much sense that you're you're out there, and when they're trapping beaver, then there's always beaver next year and the next year and the next. It's not like the lower 48 when the Europeans got here, and then a few decades later there weren't any beavers. And the same thing with seals or caribou or anything else. They utilize it, and not only for food, but make things that work in their life.
That's a really good point.
And it gives you, I have to keep reminding myself that as an advocate for wildlife conservation and not extirpating animals, that there are times in cultures that it just works for, and I'm in support of.
It's like a balance, right? It's like being part of that balance and not tipping the balance out of whack, and then just messing so many things that we can't even comprehend up.
Right.
Because it's not so many that they kill too many beavers that they destroy the habitat of the
Exactly.
beaver,
Yeah.
which they didn't do out there because it's so.
And even the
Wild.
craft of making things, just that craft skill that I live for in my own life.
Yeah.
That having that lifestyle keeps that craft and those traditional ways going.
And that's a really good point as well. I'm realizing I'm kind of putting things together in my own mind with what you're saying, Kay, and what you're saying, Monroe. Is like, it's all very well that the technology is there for other materials and other sorts of technologies, but as soon as you start using those things, everything has a shelf, like a time limit, right? Like a shelf life. So then, okay, you start relying on imported goods, then it breaks, then what, right? So you kind of need to maintain those skills, because that's an ongoing, and it sounds like hopefully continuous resource that
People have the mucklucks are the boots there.
Oh, yes.
And then I did wear them, but they're very uncomfortable because the bottoms.
They haven't been broken in well.
Yeah.
Oh, so they kind of just leather soles, are they?
Yeah, and you have to
It's
soften
a
them.
rawhide sole.
Okay. And what is rawhide? Like very rough, is it, or what?
It's skin that the hair's been taken off,
Oh.
but it hasn't been made into leather or buckskin.
Hasn't been tanned in the same way.
Right. It's just when it dries hard.
I mean, you can
And
feel
to-
them. They just you do a little click, 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 click. I mean, it's very, very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Do they soften with use?
They would no. They would have softened them. The Eskimo women used to just chew them, and so if you look at pictures of old Eskimo, real back in the day, their teeth are all worn down, just from constantly
kneading the-
that was how it was. They were softened. Yeah.
And you can work leather or skin with tools, with sticks, and pushing on it and
Right.
stretching it in different direction over and over. Sometimes if you're using the brain or
Yes.
some oily part of the same animal to do that, then you would call that buckskin. It's different than tanned.
Yes, but it has to be kind of in a wet state, like in some damp. It has to have some
Damp.
moisture in it.
Mhm. And then you're really working it as it dries.
So I think the first animal that I harvested, which was delicious, I should add, because we did eat it, but was a bear, and I set the task upon myself to take this incredible hide and process it and learn how to do it.
Wow.
Which was
With a bear.
I was jumping in at the deep end.
Yes.
I have to say, as an understatement, it was many, 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 many hours of work and a lot of suffering, which was, I created this thing for myself. It's the choice I made. But my ambition was to create a tanned hide, obviously with the hair. But I think I ended up creating rawhide because it's incredibly stiff. So I think.
So rawhide would be without the hair.
Okay, well, no, it has the hair, but it's rigid. It's like it's dry right now. So
So you could still wet and dampen that.
And process it
And then
more.
you could put some oil, the brains of
deer or something.
liquefy the brains or use a synthetic oil or something.
Could you do that no matter how long ago it was?
I think so. Yeah, you have
okay.
to be really careful about dampening it and stuff that you don't crack it, because you
Right,
can break it when
right.
it's really stiff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And even once it's buck-skinned, then when it gets wet, it'll harden again, but it'll break down and get supple much easier the next time.
Yeah.
So you could, those buckskin clothing, the first time you put that on and you're in a rainstorm, then you hang it up and dry it and it's stiff. But you put it on and wear it, and you're motivated to go out and live your life and move, and it'll break. I use that term, break down, not that it hurts it.
Yes.
The collagens in there break apart and become flexible and soft again.
I'm just imagining like drain pipe trousers after, or drain pipe pants. I can imagine that being very amusing. While we're here, let me have a quick look and make sure that things are still going well.
Monroe,
Yeah, good.
Oh, the bacon?
just give it to me. Here. Thank you. You want to?
Yeah, coated.
It's working, huh?
It's working. Seems to be. So that's good.
It would be very disappointing to get home and find out that it didn't work.
Oh, that's the thing I'm always
I know.
fearful
Oh, that. Yeah.
of. I don't think I've been in that situation, but it's my worst nightmare. Someone takes the time to share their stories and everything with you, and then
Yeah,
you have
and-
to say at the end, oh, sorry, there was a technical error.
Yeah, and it's hard to do it again.
Oh, exactly. It won't feel the same. I mean, to be honest, I think I've done. The more time you spend together talking, the more comfortable everyone is with each other.
Yeah.
And so I think it really just it gets easier and easier. But you can only hear a story for the first time once, right?
Really? I know, I agree. I guess it could. Actors do it.
Thank you, Monroe. They do. Of course, yeah.
I want to sort of pay a
Yes.
formal tribute to Dick Proenneke's part of this gathering here.
Let's do it.
And what comes to mind for me is Dick living out in the wilderness for 31 years, and it's so far out that he's got no electricity and no internet and no road, no trail even leading from his place to the next nearest home 40 miles away. And he went out there to have an adventure, and then within a year or two it morphed into him becoming an advocate for wilderness.
Yes.
And the animals that live there. He shot a sheep the first year for meat, and then he retired his gun, and he salvaged meat, and people brought him a quarter of caribou or something in exchange for him doing something for them. And it's easy to think of somebody doing that life as probably a hermit, that he didn't get along with people, but he really liked people. He loved people coming there, and wrote fondly of those experiences with people and in his journals. And as he became a wilderness wildlife advocate, he wanted his message to get out. He wanted people to make things with their own hands, like he had everything that he had. And he wanted people to not go to the store and throw something away when it broke, but to repair it. I just think of Dick as this model of somebody who brought people together, that there are people visiting his cabin in Alaska today, right? I would suspect right now there's somebody walking in there and being inspired by his life. And so in a way, instead of being a hermit, he was a community builder. And here, all these years after he died in 2003, the four of us are gathered here to honor his life with his sourdough, and hopefully, I'm going to regress a little bit. In 2003, we went to his memorial service in Port Ellsworth, and one of the people who Dick would, the last few years, he wouldn't spend the wintertime at his cabin, or for weeks at a time. He would go into Port Allsworth, 40 miles away.
Is where the headquarters for the national park is.
Okay. And he would stay in there while Mark and Sandy Lang went to Hawaii or some other warmer place in Alaska. And Dick brought his sourdough starter, and it was in a little quart size, maybe a little larger than a liter plastic container. Yeah. And so when Dick passed away, that sat there. You know, Dick would have left it there for the last time in 1999. In 2003, it had been in there 4 years. And Mark at the memorial was telling this story that here's this thing, and he would bring up to Sandy that once a year or something, that what should we do with Dick's starter? Well, we can't throw it away. It's Dick Proenneke's starter. So it got darker and darker, and he said it was black, and it's still in the refrigerator, and everybody had their little chuckle. Anyway, he had a parka that belonged to Dick, a big, heavy parka. What was that parka made out of? Was it fur?
No, it was just a regular one
parka.
out in the store, yeah.
A down parka. Mm-hmm. And he would loan that to us. When we would come through Port Allsworth in the spring, he would put that in a bag, and we would take that out to have it at Dick's cabin during the summer, and then we would bring it back to them. It wasn't any formal thing. It was just they knew that we would take good care of it, and we brought it back. So maybe I'm not sure what year, maybe in 2005 or something. It wasn't in 2003. When that jacket came out, then inside of it was this plastic container of the sourdough starter. And I'm like, oh, no.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, he's pawned it off on us. And Kay and I had that same conversation, like, what are we going to do with this thing? And, well, it's Dick's. We can't throw it away.
Sacred, yeah.
So
really?
Finally, I think I had to cut the container in half because it was just a lump in there. I mean, it's like black. Solid. It's solid. And it's just so dark gray that it's black. And then I sliced it in two, and in the middle of it was this gooey gray stuff. It didn't have a particularly nice odor even.
Yeah, what was the smell?
Yes. Just a little like old. It didn't smell like sourdough.
Because this starter here, sorry to interrupt you, but it has a distinct flavor, which is kind of, it's definitely not sweet, that's for sure. Mm-mm. It's like almost, there's a hint of alcohol.
I agree.
Well, it gets alcohol.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what sourdough does. And it'll get a layer of alcohol over it. Once it works, it froths up with a lot of air bubbles for about 2 days, and then it dies back down. And then if you let it set, then it'll settle a little more, and there'll be a layer of alcohol that you can pour off.
Wow.
And that's what really is the sour taste.
Okay.
So Dick's didn't have that sourdough odor to it. It was not particularly pleasant. Yeah. So anyway, I mixed it up. And it was very slow to have any bubbles and life in it. So, but
you mixed it up with flour
and water. And then I just a little bit, and then I mixed a little larger batch, and we made a couple little pancakes. Did you eat one that first?
I don't think I did.
Maybe it was just me, and the flavor, even as a pancake, then or the batter, still had that off odor, but the flavor of the pancake was still really good, was just fine. And so I mixed up some more and kept it to life. And for 20 years, it has maintained sort of an off odor, but a really good flavor.
Yeah.
And I've given it to enough people that I know it is a live sourdough, and even before this day, I was thinking, I wonder if what the genetics, the DNA, what connects this starter today
Really?
to Dick Proenneke's
Really? If there's
starter.
any
Is there
connection?
anything alive that
Right.
relates to Dick's in drying out to that point and being resurrected? Because it's only been in the last couple of years that little off odor has dissipated. I don't smell that at all anymore. And so if are we just making a fantasy tied back to Dick Proenneke?
I don't think
It's fun. It's the closest thing we have.
I don't know. When I smelled in that jar, I smelled that definitely has a potency to it, which I think that's got to be something from Dick
Yeah.
Proenneke's starter.
So, yeah.
It was fun because people would hear that, visitors that came found out that there's some of the Dick Proenneke sourdough. Oh my goodness, they were so excited that Monroe would be willing to give them some. In fact, you ended up putting it into drying it.
And sending little crackers, little wafers out.
That was the easiest way to transport it to people who wanted it.
And when I do that, we have some in the refrigerator, then I'll take that little cracker and put it in my coffee grinder and grind it up to just pulverize it.
Yeah.
And then it'll start getting active faster than as a single flake sitting in there.
Yeah.
And it comes to life pretty fast, actually.
And he made his biscuits with the same
Yeah,
starter too. Those
yeah,
little
and-
biscuits in the little pan.
Yeah,
three little rolls, and have made his little
Whatever. You call it
sheet
biscuits.
metal pan
Right.
that the biscuits were made in that would last 10 years or
We
something.
never got very good at doing that, though.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking through the book, Monroe's book, yesterday or the day before yesterday, and it's incredible. Like to look at those pictures again, the level of detail and like the precision of some of those pans, like the crimping on the edges
Yeah.
of the. I mean, incredible, right? Like, yeah, I'll have to put some pictures on when I do a post for it.
It's very impressive.
So this was the most excited that I got about being interviewed and being with you. And part of it is that Kay joined us here. I really, really looked forward to this, that we would get to talk about our time at Twin Lakes at Dick's Cabin, but also with you two and having breakfast of Dick's Pancakes has been just super special.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Thank you again. Of
course.
I mean, it's like
Yeah, it's
such
so
an
lovely.
Yeah, such an honor as well to be invited to be part of this, and even the sacred blueberry jam as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sharing these little traditions with us, I think, is really special. That's something that we
Yeah.
talk about is how we have certain friends, and you guys are definitely two of them, who there's just like something special in like, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it seems like you guys like creating little traditions.
Yes.
Is it intentional,
Yes.
something? And yeah, that's really, really special to us and something that we strive to do in our life as well. And we have some other friends as well. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like a big deal or a big occasion or anything like
Right.
that. It's just like, it can even be like something really small and special that you just like sharing with someone. So we really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I think it's really important to do. It's that same sort of thing. The longer you're with somebody, you have all these little things that you can look back.
Yeah.
It makes everything so much richer. Being able, I was yesterday when you were doing all your photographing, I was in there with, I think it was 2000 and then 2001 journals that I was reading through. And maybe even before that, when I came out here, came out to Alaska. Here, I always think I'm in Alaska, no matter where I am. Anyway, and it was the scene where my head, where I couldn't explain it to anybody. my mom and dad, Alaska, my mom, I think I told you this, my mother asked me if I had my passport when she found out that I was moving to Alaska. Now, my mother's not stupid. She's frightened. That's a long way away. So she was sure you needed a passport. And so how did I come out of that family? It's just amazing to me how I did. And so in my journal, as I'm reading these journals yesterday, I kept getting to the place where I did the Knowles class, and then I went to the placement office, and that was good. And then I went back, and they didn't want me to leave because I had to stay until a certain date or something ridiculous back in Massachusetts. And then finally I was able to get out there, and I got this job. And the feeling I put down is now I can live a really wild life, really out there in the wild. And I don't know if I even really knew what wild meant. I guess I had to, because no matter, even in the Maine woods or in different places that were Newfoundland, that's hardly civilized when you think of New York City. But there is something about Alaska. And it occurred to me, my ancestry goes back into the mountains they call them White Russian mountains of that area of Europe. And it must have been it must have been just wild. Or my genes, my body is made that I feel comfortable in cold country. I don't know, there's got to be more to it than just, I think I want to go to a wild country. And when I got to Hanneke and then over to Twin Lakes. Originally, they wanted me to stay for 7 weeks while they were trying to figure out what to do with Dick's cabin. And I did know that a carpenter was going to be coming out to look at it. And so all of a sudden, this carpenter arrives after I was there, and I was all by myself, and it was so wonderful, all by myself. In flies the plane, and in flies this man, and he had an 11-year-old child with him. Now, I'm a teacher. What do you think I wanted to not be around?
Yes.
For the summer. Anyway, it was a good thing that Ilan knew all the songs we sang. We had the best time. But then this carpenter arrived, and of course I called him a carpenter. Well, you understand better than most. You could laugh already. You know how the story's going to go. My mother wouldn't have gotten it until I told the whole story. And he took me aside later, and he said, "I'm not a carpenter. I'm a craftsman." I'm a craftsman. And well, of course, to me,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It totally is. So that was my first introduction to Monroe. But he was so busy. He was only there 3 weeks, and he was so busy with deciding what to do, and then getting the cabinet to a place where no harm would come to it that winter. And then he had people flying out and, talking to him about what to do, this, that, and the other thing. So nothing really clicked that year as far as anything romantic. I really fell in love with the little Ilan. And so we emailed, Ilan and I. That was back in the day when email was a big deal. And I don't think we ever sent anything to each other. It was all through Ilan. The next year, when I found they asked me to go back a second year, which of course I said, of course. And that I found out that he would be going back also. Where did you find that out? Did you know that all along, that they were going to ask you to come a second year? I don't think you did.
I don't know.
Also, though, very quick interjection. This first meeting, Monroe, do you remember? Was it also non-romantic in your?
No, it wasn't romantic at all. I didn't think of Kay in a romantic sense that whole first, nor in the winter that followed.
Okay.
No.
I remember thinking that he's a real sweetheart, a real gentleman. There are so few. I'm talking to a woman who understands. There are so few gentlemen. They call themselves gentlemen, but they're not. There's something in here
Yes.
that makes a gentleman, and he had it. But he was too
Finish.
he was too far out there politically. Yeah, he really. I didn't think we would be able to gel well politically. He was way.
You're a
Well,
radical way.
I was traveling with Alon that summer. Alon and I had gone up there in 1993 years earlier, and I had an eye condition that I could barely see, and we spent a month doing 4 one-week-long hikes up in Alaska. And I told Alon then that if I'm ever able to see again, that I would like to go back with him to Alaska. So Alon and I were planning to go back to Alaska in 2000 after I had a surgery that corrected that issue. And then the parks, so I don't know if we would have gone back to Twin Lakes. We didn't have that settled, but we were going up to Alaska. So when the Park Service asked me if I would go up there in 2000 to Dick's cabin, that took over. That became what we did.
Yes. Okay.
And but I was going up there to have an experience with my child, and that's what.
Where your attention was, and your attention was
Yeah,
on.
that makes sense.
You were really, really good. In fact,
I wanted
he was
that
there
to
4
work.
weeks. One of the weeks he went off with Elon. They went off and went camping together, kayak down
Kayaking,
there,
hiking.
and they're there 3 weeks with just working on that. But the anyway, so that next year when I found out that I was going back there, which was just so wonderful, I was just delighted to do that. It was just a different atmosphere. There wasn't all that hubbub of people coming from the park and from the office in Anchorage and so on. What do we do with this famous man's cabin? What do we do with the out cabins? What do we do with the outhouses? It was just, kind of not silly questions, very important questions, but not so much about Dick, more about, the legacy. What do we physically leave there?
Yeah.
Dick,
And what do we need to do right now this year?
to protect
We
it.
weren't really making decisions about everything that would be decisions forever, but what's the decisions that we need to make? right
What
now for
has
this
to be
year?
taken out of Dick's cabin right now because they're too valuable to leave in there? Dick just walked out the door and he left everything there, which is part of the deal I feel with Monroe's book, is that I encouraged him to do the book strongly because nobody else will ever have that opportunity that Monroe had, which is to be a craftsperson and coming to a cabin with everything that the man left, just like he poof, disappeared.
Yeah.
And you because you have that knowledge level, but like me going into a classroom, I could do that, because I know exactly what to look for and how to look for it. But I didn't have it. It was a cabin. It was a log cabin. And so Monroe, he and John Branson, the historian for the park, and Jean Schaaf, what was she called?
Cultural Resources Chief.
Anthropologist, archaeologist. The three of them, and me too, I actually wasn't part of it, but I didn't feel like I knew very much. And what do we leave here? What do we take? So we got to see everything go by, And then when Monroe started working physically on the cabin and knowing that the sill logs need to be redone, and then, this, that, and the other thing, nobody else is ever going to be in that position again, ever. And so he owed it, I felt. He was responsible for all those people, those thousands of people that flew out there, spent outrageous amount of money to look at this little cabin. And find Dick Proenneke, you'd be a pretty cool guy. And so it's now in a book, and that's why I know it's going to be a classic. It has to be.
Yeah.
And half the people that are out there today, they're the single biggest reason that people go out there is that Dick building everything by hand, and his cabin and his hinges, and they've seen it on the video, and his snow shovel. I mean, there's so many other things about Dick's life, but a big percentage of them, they're really
it really
drawn
is very,
towards the craft.
Yeah.
And those people today, most of the artifacts and the ladder to the cache and the roof of the cabin and the bottom logs of the cabin and
The
all
chairs,
his
yeah, all the stuff he
his
did.
snow sled and
Right.
his chair, all these things are things that I made.
Yeah, replicated.
And so my goal really early was like, because it meant so much to me to touch Dick in that way, and I was drawn out there also, not partly because of his craft, partly because of his wilderness ethic, but I wanted these people that are there today to pick up his snow shovel and be able to interpret Dick
Yeah.
as much out of that shovel that I made that's never shoveled snow as I was able to from Dick's shovel. And it
And
was
that's
so,
the difference between a carpenter and a craftsman. I now
so I put my
understand.
skill not to doing the very best work, but to
Yeah.
really make it like Dick's just exactly.
It's like you're taking a portrait,
Yes.
like a perfect likeness.
Yeah. And I was amazed. We were looking at some video of changing the bottom 4 logs, and Dick wasn't, I mean, he was a really good craftsman, and some of his, like, his spirit, his ingeniousness and determination to make a Dutch door, these 2 tiny little doors, and then wooden hinges on each one, that once he started doing that, he knew everybody coming to the cabin was going to look at that.
Yeah.
And that was really important to him, that be right, and yet he had the nerve to do it. So he's got but his craftsmanship per se isn't like mine, to the finest degree. It's get it done too.
Functional.
Which is
beautiful.
part of Dick's philosophy. So then and he's swinging an axe. He's using an axe and then a saw and then an axe and then a gouge to gouge out these joints on his first course of his cabin. And he's got video of that or movie film. And so I'm doing that years later, replacing those, and I'm up there sawing and then using an axe, just swinging an axe at this little thing that I'm hitting in to get, and I'm like, wow, that just made me so nervous. I remember now how nervous I was. And you can't do a little baby. You got to swing the axe to make those wood chips fly. And you're wanting to hit right where you want it to hit, not a 1/4 of an inch over in the log area that you don't want to hit. And then repeat it over and over and over and over, and jump around on the other side and do it some more. And I was like, wow, you had the nerve to do that. And so looking back on it, it still sort of surprises me that I pull that off.
Have you thought a lot about it? I know you said it was your 4th year before you wanted to tackle the cache legs, because you knew how difficult those were going to be.
And the
to
bottom
do.
logs.
And the bottom logs, that's
The
right.
roof was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm sure part of it you put on yourself to do it so perfectly.
Yes.
Perfectly to his level.
Yeah, to
Perfect.
Dick's,
Yeah.
He
To
would-
his standard.
He would come, so we were staying back down at the cabin called Spike's Cabin, and he would come home. He would come home after he'd worked the day, and then he'd look. He says, "Well, I got to know Dick Proenneke a lot better today." And that type of attitude, and he'd tell me what. Of course, it made no sense to me. Of course, I didn't know the nuances of it, but that type of thing was so. You're honored to be asked to do that work, really. And that's kind of how he looked at it.
That fourth year, 2003, when John Branson helped me change the bottom logs. The very bottom log in his cabin in the front, you excavate underneath the cabin, and I realized, well, this log isn't even attached to the cabin. It just rolled out. And that was one of those nights I remember. And it's like, oh, well, what's going on here? And I thought it through, and I had seen the video. Well, actually, yeah, I had seen the video of him building his cabin. But he doesn't talk about that.
No.
He builds a cabin.
Right.
And I've seen something that's not explained in the video, and I didn't have the journals, and it was the year before we left, before we had access to all of Dick's journals.
Dick's had a whole pile of journals,
So I couldn't read his thoughts when he was
It
doing
was being transcribed.
And so what's he doing? And he built his cabin, and he doesn't want to go up one more log high. He'd rather roll a little log underneath the front where there's a half a log. It's just a little bit high there off the ground, and roll another one under there, and then he doesn't have to have gravel up to that level. And I nailed it exactly, his thought process of why he had done that, and that it was a more crooked log than the rest, so it was a log that was left over at the end of his building, rather than one of his really good logs that he's using. And then reading the journals 2 years before we left, then that's exactly what he was doing. And
Like solving a mystery.
yeah, and so
Exactly.
that sort of
Exactly.
thing, when you look at his snow shovel and you see a metal fatigue crack, and you see there's some splints on there, the metal fatigue crack's like 9 inches long and forked out, and some splints, and then there's some extra holes, and those extra holes tell me he had some splints on there before the ones that are on there when I came to Twin Lakes, and even his splints got metal fatigue, and he took them off. So I put those extra holes in my replicated snow shovel so that the person looking at it today, again, can do that same thought. How did Dick use, what was he doing with, how did he use this? And fun project over 19 summers.
Yeah.
I keep encouraging him to write a sequel to the book, which would be more about the animal life, about the environment, because for my reason for going to Alaska was to go into the wild, to experience this place, like you say, back the way our ancestors did for how many millennia.
Yeah.
And that would be where Dick's relationship with the animals, his relationship with the land. He never put a hot tub in there, for instance. I mean, he kept it simple. It fit. He was just one more little animal. That's all he saw himself as, one more little animal out there with all the other little squirrels and porcupines and deer and caribou and bear and he lived his life that way. I felt really appreciative, and I think that's the other part of the question. When people would come to get the tour, if they were in the woodworking business or knew something about how to deal with wood, they would want Monroe to give the tour. It was that simple, because I couldn't do it. I could answer maybe one or two questions, but to get into those nuances, I wasn't able to do it. But the average person that came there, they didn't see it like me. I didn't see all those little nuances of the wood stuff. They wanted to know what would what type of person would you have to be to live 30 years out here by yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
What gave you that strength, inner strength and smartness to not be hurt or die or whatever? And that's another book that has it's a completely different. And I think that for me is more important than the cabin itself, because there are a lot of cabins built out there by people who stayed out for long periods of time. But nobody did quite in the way that Dick did, as far as their love of nature, wanting to share it, wanting to be a part. He wanted it. He worked to get it to. He was into photography, video. Not video, was filming.
Film, yeah.
I mean, if you could imagine that.
Documenting everything.
Documenting everything.
Yeah.
He was a scientist, you know.
Yeah.
We had the temperatures out there and all this kind of stuff.
Can I ask a question? Yes. You said that you could see the transition in Dick's values as he spent more time at Twin Lakes. But you two have obviously spent a lot of time there as well. Are there any clear things that changed in terms of your perspective in the years that you spent there? And I'm still interested to know the moment at which you guys decided, we love each other. But that's a side question.
It's the next year.
But I guess my first question is like, how many years was it before like a significant change in your own perspectives happened?
Wow. I'd have to think about that a while.
I think for me that I bring in all the visitors, both the visitors who knew Dick very well and had knew Dick a lot better than Kay and I knew Dick.
Yeah.
We knew Dick, we each got to see him once at his cabin, and then we visited in Hanneke, California, where he retired with his brother the last few years of his life. And I wrote him after 1982, lots of letters, and he wrote me back. But there were people who knew Dick so much better. But also the visitors who didn't know Dick, who were inspired by seeing a video or reading one of the books, and or whatever reason brought them there. Visitors that had never heard of Dick and happened to end up at Dick's cabin with no knowledge of him. And one woman that did that really impressed me. It was she came on a guided kayak hiking trip with 6 or 8 other people, and within an hour, she said, I don't know if she told it to Kay or to me, she said, Dick Proenneke is a person who lived with purpose. And so here was an observation and I had never really thought of that concretely. And it's become very important to me to look at Dick through that lens. And so different people that knew and didn't know Dick have added so much to. I think sometimes of Kay and me that we didn't know Dick by far the very best, but we became the holders of the stories of all those visitors that came out there. Yeah. And would gain from their knowledge, and
you got to see the impact on the ripple effect on a whole vast number of people.
And too, I know with my work, then my work was first about honoring Dick Proenneke and giving me a chance each year to come back to Wilderness with Kay. But after just a few years, it started to be, I'm not working for Dick Proenneke's legacy as much as I'm living for the visitor's experience. And this community that I spoke of earlier, this, like, we're in community here, and when we're at Twin Lakes and giving a tour to somebody, we're in community with people who are wilderness advocates or people who love wildlife or who have found their way there. So Dick, to me, became the catalyst that brought a lot of people together in a lot of different times.
And then over time, you became part of the legacy as well, I'm sure, for other people.
Yeah.
I think.
I think we're at a pretty good time to wrap up now. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
But
unless there's some stories that you guys are.
No, this is good.
No, I'll
Okay.
tease you with one little story, though.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
might have a different fit on it. The second year up there, Alon did not come up with me, and I don't know how long after I had been there, I went over to Kay's cabin. She was staying in Hope's cabin that summer, and she had a box of Godiva chocolates, a double-decker box, and she offered me a chocolate, and she made sure that it was offering a chocolate.
A single chocolate.
He loves to
And
tell
I
the story
took-
because it's not totally true.
I took a rain check on it. I said, "Can I just take a rain check on that?"
That is true.
And so that, I don't know if it was the next evening or 2 evenings later, I wanted to take her up on the chocolate, and she says, "You're too late."
They were all eaten.
They were all
I
eaten.
told you
So
the
that was
Yeah.
my learning about Kay.
He loves to tell that story, but it was summer of there were really just the two of us out there. John Branson, the historian for the park, was there, and other people came and went, but it was mainly just the two of us. And so we had lots of time to be able to have dinners together and talking and finding out what we enjoyed. We did a lot of kayaking together. We did, just things. And it became real apparent, I think, to both of us that we had an awful lot in common.
Yeah.
And so that's where it went.
Both of us liked wolves more than dogs.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Just bizarre things that you at 50 years old, you kind of know these things that you don't know when you're 20 or when most people get married, 30, whatever.
Yeah, you know yourself so much.
You know
better.
yourself so much better, what you're not going to put up with.
Yeah.
And okay, I guess I could work on putting up with that
If I must.
if I must, right, for the gentleman. And so that's where it ended up. But I also was the year that I decided not to go back and work as a teacher anymore at Southwest Region Schools, where I had been in the Dillingham area. And so it had opened a whole, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Thinking of teaching college level. And I mean, there's lots of ideas I have, but I didn't have a job once I left there. And so Monroe said, "Why don't you come on down and just see if you like California?" And which I did, and I'm still here. So it obviously worked. One friend told us she was certain that we were going to make it because she says, when you see two people have the same spiritual centering that overlaps that closely, then you can get to just about anything. That was very sweet of her to say, because that's how kind of I felt too, even though he was a little out there on some things. And I'm sure I am on other things, but that center, spiritual, moral, I don't even know what you want to call it.
Yeah.
It works. If it's there, man, you can do it. But
Like values. almost, or
values,
something like
that's
that.
another good word.
The way
Yeah.
of seeing the world.
Yes, the way, the world, yeah, how would you feel world treats you and you treat it, it's back, it's a whole
Yeah.
whole thing. And
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
happened. And then we were married the year after that.
Okay.
So
There
And
go.
did you already have the place here
Yeah.
at that point? Yeah.
Yeah, I had had this place for 13 years at that point.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so the difficulty really was me becoming a stepmother. I didn't have any children of my own, and here is this child who's, I knew, well, we liked each other and all, but I'm not her mother.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if you've ever experienced step parenting, but it's very tough.
Yes, I have. Not as a parent, as having step parents.
Having had, yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult line, right? That you have to, you're not the parent, but you kind of have to be the parent sometimes, but also not too much.
But the rapport is just
Yeah.
always on a edge of a thing. You kind of don't want to say too much, but if you don't, then it won't be right either. You have to say something. Yeah, no, I hear it. Big time. But it worked.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope Elon thinks it worked.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
what a lovely
for an amazing
breakfast.
breakfast and wonderful stories, as always.
And all
But it
your
was lovely
time.
to hear more of your stories today, Kate.
Yes,
So,
there's lots of stories that I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you over for breakfast or dinner or some sort of thing.
Yeah.
Over.
who's the cook in your family?
Hanneke's very, very
We
talented.
both do. We
Oh.
both cook.
I'm more basic. I'm
But I
more-
probably cook a little more. But Robert cooks as well. So, yeah, both of us, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to press stop and then we can...
Yeah, good.
Pack up a little bit.
A little bit. Right, that's another episode in the bag. The pancake batter has been licked from the bowl. That's a terrible analogy. Actually, I must say, that was a fantastic episode. It was fun to record and it was fun to eat those pancakes as we were going through the whole conversation. So once again, a huge thank you to Kate and Monroe for inviting us into their home and sharing some amazing stories and this famous, historic sourdough pancake starter, or sourdough starter, I should say. Once again, if you enjoyed the episode, I'm going to take that as a win. If you're still here, it would be amazing if you could give us a follow or a subscribe wherever you're listening. And also share it with a friend. If you think you know someone who would enjoy this kind of conversation, then by all means, sling it their way. Right, that's all from me. Thanks for listening. And until next time.
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch.